Hey everybody! In today's video, we're going to be making the first friend of our Pooh Bear from a couple videos ago. We're making, obviously, Eeyore. He was absolutely, hands down, the top requested out of all of the characters. I kind of asked everybody which one of the Pooh friends they wanted to see next, and without a doubt, Eeyore was the top requested. So super happy with how he turned out. He's got the really cute face detailing, cute floppy ears, of course the belly patch, and you can't leave out the cute little bow tail. Oh, he's so sweet. So I hope you guys are really happy with how he turned out, and let's make one together. Let's get started. Okay, so I think I've been able to squeeze everything that we're going to need into the frame here. For the materials, so the body of the actual plushie we're going to be making in a weight 6 blanket yarn. So that's kind of what you see around the outside here. We need a body color. We need a belly patch color. We need black for the hair on top. We need the nose color, like a snout, and then kind of just like a darker purple color for the inside of his ear. Okay, so that's all of the blanket yarn there. We also have two different colors here of worsted weight. So we need black worsted for the detailing on the face and the tail. And then we need some pink worsted weight for the bow, and then also kind of hidden in here. So we've got 12mm safety eyes. We have our scissors. I have two different size needles depending on, if I'm doing weight 6 sewing or weight 4 sewing. Two different hooks. So for our worsted weight yarn, we're going to be using a 4mm hook. And then I use an 8mm hook with my blanket yarn. Got one stitch marker here. You might need a couple of these. We'll see as we go. And then some stuffing. Oh my goodness, that's all of it. Okay, let's get started. All right, so we're going to be starting with the head first. And in order to do that, we need our nose colored yarn. So for me, that's like a light pink. And we're going to go ahead and start with a magic circle. Okay, chain 1 to secure, and then pull that little loop out of there. Okay, so let's begin round 1. So 8 single crochet into the magic ring. Okay, round 2, we're going to increase all the way around. Okay, round number 3, we're going to single crochet 1 and then increase, and we're going to repeat that around. Okay, round 4, we're going to single crochet 3 and then increase and repeat that all the way around. Okay, now before we continue any further, I'm just going to go ahead and secure my magic circle here. So with my needle, I'm going to continue this yarn tail in the same direction that it's already going, basically just doubling up around the circle, making sure that it's not going to come undone. All the way around one time should be enough. There we go. Okay. Now let's continue to round 5. So we're going to single crochet all the way around. It's funny, when I was taking recommendations in the Pooh Bear video on which character to do next, I knew Eeyore was going to be popular, but I really wasn't expecting almost everybody to say Eeyore. I thought, for some reason, I thought Tigger was going to be more popular. I think that was really popular when I was a little kid. Maybe it was just all my friends liked Tigger. I don't know. I was always kind of partial to Piglet myself. Okay. Now in round number 6, we're going to start decreasing now. So let's do single crochet 4. And I'm going to show you guys in this video how I do my decreases, because somebody mentioned in my previous video that they didn't think I was doing an invisible decrease. And while it looks like a regular decrease, it actually is invisible. So I'm going to show you guys now. So to do the decrease my way, you're welcome to do it however you'd like, but I'll show you what I do. So insert into our stitch here, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 1. Into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 3. So now you have this like funny gappy looking stitch here. When we come around on it on the next round, I'll show you how you work into this stitch to make it completely invisible and no gaps or anything, and it's nice and secure. You're not having to go through like only single loops and stuff. Okay, so I'll show you one more time. We're going to repeat around, so single crochet 4 and then a decrease. So insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. Did I do 4 stitches in there? 1, 2, 3. I did not. I didn't think so. Okay. Now we are in round number 7. We're going to single crochet around. So I'll show you what I was talking about for working into those decreases. Okay, so we're at a decrease now. So if you were to insert into this little gap here, which would be where you would normally go into, just under the top 2 loops of your stitch, it would look super gappy, and we do not want that. So what you're actually going to do is insert into, we created like a fake stitch under our stitch. So in here where we yarned over and pulled through, your hook will easily slide in there, and it completely tightens everything up, so there's no gaps there, and it actually just looks like a normal stitch. So that's how I do my version of like an invisible decrease. And basically just make sure that you can go through both loops of every stitch every single time you do a decrease. Here's another one. So you sink right into this fake stitch here. See? And it just feels really secure and no gaps. So if you don't like the way that you like your current technique for decreases, maybe you'll like this one. Oops. Okay, now for our next round of pink, our last round of pink, round number 8, we are going to single crochet 22. Take us right back to the other side here. Okay, and so we have 2 stitches left, and then in the last 2 stitches we're going to do slip stitches. So 1 slip stitch as normal, and our second one we are going to do our color change. So instead of picking up this yarn and pulling it through, we are going to pick up our blue color. Let me just find the yarn tail here. Okay, perfect. And we are going to give yourself a bit of a tail, and we're just going to place it in here and pull that through all the way like a slip stitch. Okay, now we can fasten off our pink, and I'm just going to get rid of this yarn altogether. We actually won't need it again. Okay, and then let's tie these 2 tails off together. The reason why we're doing slip stitches in here instead of single crochets is basically just to minimize that stacked look on the color change. There we go. So the yarn tail can just stay inside there now. So now we're working in blue. Round number 9, we are going to start with a slip stitch. Okay, and then we are going to single crochet 24. And when you work into the single or the slip stitches, sorry, work into them as normal. So they're just not as deep as a regular single crochet, but you're still going underneath those 2 bars. There we go. So now you can see here that the way the color changes, it's so not noticeable in comparison to like a stacked like single crochet to another single crochet, you know what I mean? Okay, so round number 10. Oh, I guess I should show you guys that as well. On your first single crochet, where you're working into the blue slip stitch, instead of working into the top 2 bars like you normally would, if you go all the way down to work into the stitch that it is worked into and keep it nice and tight, it just like completely eliminates the color change. Okay, so we're going to single crochet 3 and then decrease, and we are going to repeat that all the way around. Okay, the next 2 rounds, rounds 11 and 12, are going to just be single crochet around. Okay, round number 13, we're going to single crochet 2 and then a decrease. And repeat that all the way around. Round 14, we're going to single crochet around. Okay, we're getting pretty close to be able to put our eyes on, but not yet. So don't panic if you see it starting to close up a little bit. It is, but we're not ready for the eyes yet. Round number, where are we here? Round number 15, we're going to single crochet 3 and then decrease. Okay, so I'm going to pull my loop out just a little bit so it doesn't come undone, and we are going to grab our safety eyes and we can put them on now. Okay, so with our safety eyes here, we are going to put them between rounds 11 and 12. So keeping in mind, we're starting our count back from here on the nose. Round number 9 is where we started our first blue, so let's start counting from there. So 9, 10, 11, and 12. So somewhere in here, we're just going to place one for now. Also keeping in mind, we want to have our color change on the bottom of the chin, so our stitch markers on the back of our work right now. Okay? And then we're going to count over 5 visible stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which means we want to put our safety eye right in here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. Go ahead and secure those in place. I don't like these safety eyes. I just got some new ones the other day, and sometimes the backings are really good, but these, like, I don't know, these shaped ones, for whatever reason, they seem really loose almost when they go on, and then they're secure afterwards, but they just make me second guess it. So I'm going to test every single one of them. Okay. All right. That is how we are looking. Okay, we're not going to go ahead and do any of the embroidery right now. Let's finish off the head first, and then we'll come back in with our worsted weight to embroider. Okay. So we are, oh, we're actually right at the very end. So if you want to start stuffing, let's do that now, because our last round is basically just going to close it up. Now, since the head is the only thing that's stuffed in this project, you don't want to overstuff it too far where it's really, really firm and heavy, because it already is kind of like a floppy head, like just the way that his face is structured. So you don't want it to be super, super top heavy, but you do want it to be able to hold its shape well. So I always kind of go for like a firm but squishy, if that makes sense, even though it kind of contradicts itself. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish round 16 first, and then finish off with the rest of that stuffing. So whenever you're ready, round number 16 is just going to be 6 decreases around. Okay, now go ahead, we're going to fasten off here. Give yourself a bit of a tail. And then to fasten off, we just yarn over and pull this all the way through and pull tight. Okay. Okay, now let's finish stuffing here so that we can completely close off the head. I don't think I have enough stuffing with me. I am gonna have to go fill up and be right back. Alrighty, we are back at it. I walk around the house, I carry my fluff. I have like a big box of fluff in my craft room, but I fill it up in like little loads in a freezer bag and stuff, so my little freezer bag was empty. Okay, so I'm happy with the face. It's just the top now that just needs a bunch of fluff. Okay, good. So that's what it's gonna look like there. Let's close up the top here with your needle. So into the first stitch here, depending how you've done your decreases, you're either gonna just pull up one loop, like the front loop here, or if you've done decreases like me, go down to the second part too. So just the front loops, and then from the bottom up, from the top down, I'm just gonna zigzag all the way through, bottom up, top down, and bottom up. Okay, give it a little pull, and that's what we're left with. Now I'm gonna do the same thing I did with the nose, and I'm just gonna continue around in the same direction that it's already going in, just to make sure that it is super secure. Basically do like 1.5 times. Okay, so if you'd like to, you can go ahead and weave this tail in through the head a bunch of times. I'm gonna just leave it here for now because when I attach my yarn into the head later, I'm gonna use it to tie a knot against this yarn so that they're both secured together. So I'm just gonna leave mine there. And let's go ahead and we'll tackle the embroidery first. Okay, so go ahead and cut yourself a strand of your worsted weight black yarn. It looks like I have about maybe 14 or 16 inches here. I'm not gonna need that much, but I'd rather have too much than and then have to do it in basically just 2 strands. Okay, so come up somewhere here in the nose, doesn't really matter where, and we are going to peek up. Do I have another needle I can point with? Here's one. So we have the round right between the eyes, so 11 and 12, that's where we place them. We're gonna go down one, and this is where we want our like snout line to start. So come up somewhere right in the middle between your 2 eyes. And then don't pull it all the way through. This is where we're gonna be tying off against. And I can see the way that I've put mine in that it is not centered. It wants to be actually right in that stitch. There we go, now we're centered. Okay, and then we're gonna be coming down into the nose, counting from the nose here. So 1, 2, 3, okay, between 3 and 4. And again, you wanna make sure that you are still centered between the eyes. And then come back up beside, I'm having a hard time pushing it up that far. There we go. All the way back to the same round where you originally added. Okay, good. Now for your top line, top wrinkle, not really sure. Just gonna go across wherever you came up here. I'm kind of like 1.5 stitches out. So we're gonna do the same thing, 1.5 stitches on this side. Okay, and then we're gonna pop back through into, this is kind of like our last row of the pink. Come down 1. Pop it here. Actually, as I'm looking at it, no, it's cute. I think normally I would have done this one just a little bit smaller. I can see that in my original one, I did a smaller line there. So however you like, if you want to go back and change it, you can do a smaller line at the top here. I'm just gonna leave it. It's kind of cute. Okay, come across, I've gone 2 stitches out on here from the center line. So I'm gonna go 2 stitches out on this side too. And then coming down, just down here to the next round. Okay, and same thing, we're gonna go just like that. Now we need to do some nostrils. So not into the same round where we attached down here, but the next one above it, in line with your eyes. Pick the closest stitch that you can find there. And we're just gonna go over 1 stitch. And then coming out on this side, same thing, following the same round over, just over 1 stitch. Okay, and then coming back up in the center here, where we added our yarn originally. That's perfect. Tie these off together. It looks like I actually needed that much yarn. I'm surprised. I guess I added a little extra at the top there. So we're going to knot these together. 1, 2, and a triple knot. Good. And then sink it into the head. Okay, and whatever comes out as excess, you can just trim that off. Perfect. So that's like what we look like right now. We're gonna come back and pay a little more attention to the shaping of the eyes. We're gonna sink this part in just a little bit after we've added the body. So for now, our head is done. Okay, so what we're going to be working next is the body. Before you go ahead and start the body, I'd like you to just go ahead and cut maybe like 12 inches of yarn off first. We're going to be using this for sculpting the eyes down a little bit after a couple rounds of the body. So cut your yarn and then set that aside. And now this is probably the most finicky part of the entire pattern. And then once this is done, it's like smooth sailing. So we are going to be placing 6 stitches on the back of the head and then working the body from there. So we're just gonna figure out where to place those stitches. So looking at the back of the head, just like this with the nose towards you, we are going to find rounds 13 and 14. Okay, now because the back of our head is also where we've been changing our rounds, we have to be careful where we're going, where we're not actually losing track of the rounds completely. So we're going to count along the left-hand side because that's where it's really obvious where we can see our rounds. So just a little on the side here, we're going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So right in here, between these stitches, between 13 and 14 is where we're going to be placing our first few stitches on the back of the head. Now, let's go ahead and line it up. So we are looking at our 2 eyes here. We want to find 3 stitches to work under that are going to be centered to our eyes because we want our neck to be centered to our eyes. So this is what I mean by it being the most finicky part. So I'm going to pick 3 stitches. I actually think I was off just by 1. Yep. So I want this stitch to be my first, second, and third. And when I flip it around, I can see that those are centered as good as they're probably going to get to the eyes. So I'm going to pick those and I'm going to attach my yarn right here. With a bit of a tail, insert under and chain 1 to secure. Now we're going to stitch 1 single crochet into the same stitch, then the next stitch, 1 single crochet, and the next stitch, 1 single crochet. Okay, so now we have 3 single crochet. Flipping our work now to work into the next rounds. So this was 13 and 14. Okay, now we want 12 and 13. So just basically the next row right in front. We're going to do the exact same thing and work into the 3 stitches that are directly in front of the 3 stitches we just worked. Okay, so that's stitch number 4, 5, and 6. Okay, and that's that. So now just double check, looking at the top of your head here, making sure that your eyes are centered to your neck. I'm happy with how mine looks, so I'm gonna leave it just like that. And this is what I meant when I said I was gonna leave this tail to tie it off against our body yarn tail. So I'm going to do that right now. What am I wrapped around here? So I'm just gonna sink this right into the center of our stitches here, because this is going to be worked out into the body. This will all be hidden inside this circle. Okay, I'm going to anchor this yarn just by going under a stitch and coming back out of a stitch. Okay, and then tying these 2 together. And we'll cut that nice and short so it's not in the way for the video. Okay, good. Now I'm gonna go ahead and probably work one more round of the body before we go ahead and fix the eyes. So let's do that now. Picking up our loop, now we've created our new kind of like magic ring here, the 6 stitches. So this is what we're gonna be working into now moving forward. So round number 2, okay, we are going to work in half double crochet. We are going to do 4 half double crochet increases. Now I will say, just before I go on any further, that yes, it is important that you have the 6 stitches along the bottom, but it is also very important that you place them just like I did. So starting on this corner, 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6. Because when we go ahead and start placing our color changes for the belly, I have it worked out perfectly so that it will be centered. If you started your 6 single crochet somewhere else on the bottom, then the belly will not be centered to where it needs to be. Okay, so we've done 3 half double crochet increases. We've got to do 1 more. Okay, and then we're going to do 2 regular single crochet increases in the last 2 stitches. Okay, good. Pull up your loop here and let's do our sculpting and get that out of the way. So with your blue yarn here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna come up through the center in here. We're gonna be tying it all off in here, basically having it hidden. And we're gonna come up and we're gonna go through the stitch on the inner corner of the eye. Can get to it. There we go. Okay, give yourself a bit of a tail there. Okay, and I'm just going on top of 1 stitch there, and then over to the other side in the exact same spot, just over 1 stitch, and then back down inside the neck. And then just making sure that we're not coming out of the same stitch in here, which we are not, because we're going to tie them together. And then all we do is pull them together. Okay, adjust however you want to. Okay, I put my stitches in just below the eyes, but if you put them along the inside of your eyes, you can change the look of it completely. But I like how this looks. So I'm going to go ahead and tie it right inside here. Okay, good. I just felt it tighten a little bit more when I tied my knot, so I just wanted to make sure that we are still looking okay. Okay, and again, I'm going to cut this short so it's not in our way for the video. Okay, and that is it. So we have finished sculpting, and now we can just focus on the body. Okay, so in round 3, we are going to do half double crochet 1, and half double crochet increase, and repeat those 4 times. So half double crochet 1, half double crochet increase, and then 2 more times. And now we're working into the single crochet stitches, so we're going to do single crochet 1 and single crochet increase, and repeat that 1 more time. Basically, we're just pulling the body forward a little bit so that the head actually sits kind of forward as well, as opposed to just like looking up at the ceiling like this, you know? Otherwise, it would be like flat out and it would look kind of funny. So we're curving it forward here. Okay, now round number 4. This is all half double crochet now. So we're going to do half double crochet 2. And then half double crochet increase and repeat that around. Round number 5 is where we're going to start introducing our color changes. So have your light purple ready. Mine's not ready, so I'm going to have to grab mine in a second too. Round number 5. So it's going to start with 17 half double crochet. Okay, and on number 17, we're not going to yarn over and pull through all of our loops. We're going to introduce our color change right here. So grabbing your purple or whatever color you're using for the belly, we are going to yarn over and pull that through for our color change, and then tie off these ends together. Don't cut your blue. We're just going to carry it. Through all of the belly patch color changes. Okay, so now we have 2 colors attached. For the purple, we're going to do 5 half double crochet. What I like to do for coloring or carrying it through, I'll show you, kind of leave it dangling until maybe about like halfway. And then just before I'm about to yarn over and pull through, I'll just tuck this just between, kind of like laying inside my yarn. So it's not going to pop to the front, you're not going to see it, but it just kind of like tacks it in place back there. So that it's right there for changing over back to blue. So after 5 half double crochet in purple, and you can see that it's lined up really nicely with the head, go back to blue and work 2 half double crochet. Now again, just leave your purple there, don't fasten off. I'll let you know when to fasten off your purple. Okay, round number 6, we're gonna do half double crochet 3. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I was like double checking on my belly patch because something looked odd, but nope, we are completely centered. We're looking good. I thought maybe I counted weird or something. Okay, so half double crochet 3 and increase. Just a little twisted here with my yarn. There we go. And repeat that for a total of 4 times. Okay, and then finish with 1 half double crochet, and then we're gonna do our color change. So complete it with the purple. Now make sure when you're doing your color changes that this doesn't happen. That's way too tight. Give it lots of extra. I like to make mine a little loosey, and then I will crochet over that like excess there. So in purple, we're going to half double crochet 2. On the second one, I'm gonna half double crochet also through that strand that's floating. And you can see that it's tightened it up there in the back. We need a half double crochet increase. And on one of them, I'm gonna bring the blue over as well. So I'm just gonna float that just like that. Okay, so it's pulling this. We're gonna be crisscrossing all the way through. Okay, and then half double crochet 3 in purple. And on the third one, change to blue. And then 1 last half double crochet. Half double crochet increase in blue. Okay, so that's what we look like now. We are in round number 7. We're going to half double crochet 21. Okay, and that brings us back to the purple again. In our 21st stitch, let's bring back our purple, pull through, make sure we're nice and loosey-goosey inside, and we will do half double crochet 8 in purple on one of the stitches somewhere in there. Make sure that you're crocheting over top of the strand in the back. And also carrying your blue, which I'm going to do right now. And on the 8th one, change back to blue. And finish with 1 half double crochet in blue. So that's how we look there. Okay, round number 8 is going to be our last one with the belly patch in the purple, which is nice. So we are going to do 23 half double crochet in blue. Okay, and then on stitch number 23, go ahead, introduce purple. Loosen up the back. Half double crochet 5 in purple. Back to blue, a little dot carry there. And on this changeover, we're going to fasten off our purple now, which is a little tail. And you can pack up that purple completely. I use a different purple for the inner ears, but if using the same color, I guess we will need that one a little bit later. But anyways, let's go ahead, let's tie our knot here. Perfect. And that's what the inside of mine looks like. So, oh, there we go. Nice and loose. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put these together as well. And that's it. Okay. Let's finish this off with blue half double crochet 2. And there is our belly patch all done. Round number 9. We're going to half double crochet 3. And half double crochet decrease. Oops. I'll show you guys also for the half double crochet decreases how to make it kind of invisible. So we've got the yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, and then insert, pull up a loop. So we have 4 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through all 4. And then I'll show you on the next round how to get rid of this big gap. Okay. So what was I saying? Half double crochet 3 and then decrease. So repeat that around. I'll show you the decrease one more time. So yarn over, insert, pull up, insert, pull up, yarn over, pull through all 4. Okay, and then round 10 is half double crochet 2 and then half double crochet decrease. And I'll show you about working into those decreases as well. So for my decrease, I'm going to be working into the stitch as the second part of it. So instead of going into this big gappy hole there, I'm going to go down and see how there's kind of like 3 bars here. 1, 2, 3. Also go under this one. And then it completely disappears that decrease looking thing, like the gap and whatnot, and it fills it in really nicely. Okay, so I'll show you one more time. It works exactly the same way as that single crochet decrease does, and it's super secure as well. So again, not into this gap, but pull that one strand in with it, and now you're nice and secure. Okay. I tried for a couple of videos not explaining the decreases, and then I had a lot of people asking me about them. So I will just continue to just kind of put them in there nice and quick. So if this is like the first video of mine that you're seeing, then you'll have the same information as everybody else. Okay, we are officially done the body, so you can't really see much of the face. There we go. So we are going to prep for the legs now. Let me just move a few things of mine around and then we'll get started on them. Okay, so to go ahead and work the legs, what we're going to do is you're gonna be, in the same spot that I am. We're kind of somewhere along the front of the body here. We need to actually bring our stitches all around to the back. So get rid of the stitch marker. We don't need it for now. And we are just going to stitch to get us roughly to the center of the back. Don't worry about being super particular just yet. We're going to make some adjustments and I'll get you right back where you need to be exactly in a few minutes. So coming here, almost at the back. Okay, we're just gonna pause there. So you can see here, I'm just somewhere in the back, doesn't need to be exact right now. Okay, now let's go ahead. We are going to assign, there's going to be 5 stitches on each side that are for the legs, and then there's going to be 4 stitches in the front that we don't work into and 4 in the back that we don't work into. So if this helps you, go ahead and grab 4 stitch markers and we're going to figure out where to place these. So we are going to be lining up. Normally I would say we're going to shake the head until it lies exactly where we want it to be, but since we have the belly patch to work with, we're going to just kind of line it up to our belly patch because we know that that's also centered to our face. So we want to find the 4 stitches along the front that are most centered to the belly patch. I'm going to go with these 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so take 1 stitch marker and mark 1 right to the side of that. And then another one, so we have our stitch marker, then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 that we're not working into. The next is our marker. So this is where our feet are going to start in the front and our 4 unworked stitches there. Now the rest is the easy part. So from this marker, we're going to count 5 stitches, including the one that we've marked. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, mark that one. Okay, that's for 1 leg there. And on the other side, same thing. So now we're counting back. Stitch number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then that means that we have 4 unworked stitches in the back. It's kind of where I've planted my stitches in the middle here, but that's okay. So this is what we look like. Now what we need to do is bring our stitches right behind that stitch marker. So wherever you ended up, you could have your stitches over here, that's fine. Move it all the way to this, right behind this marker. Okay, so that you look just like mine. Now starting in this stitch marker right here, that's going to be the first stitch of our first leg. So we are going to work single crochet increase. When I'm doing these single crochets, I'm doing them with less tension than I did with the head. So in the head, I was worried about, keeping the stuffing inside. This, I still want this to feel like a snuggler. So I've loosened up my stitches, kind of like the same tension I was doing my half double crochet in. And then we're going to work single crochet increase in the next 4 stitches as well, bringing us to that last stitch marker. Okay, and I don't need to mark that stitch again because my starting stitch is back here. Okay, now we're going to continue into round 2 for the leg. So working into our marked stitch, forget about all the rest of this for now, just on the 1 leg, we are going to insert into the marked stitch and start with a single crochet 4. and then an increase. And then single crochet 4, increase. Okay, round number 3, we're going to do single crochet 2, and decrease, and repeat that around. Okay, and then round number 4 is single crochet 1 and decrease, and repeat that around. Okay, and that is our first foot. Let's go ahead, fasten off, give yourself a little bit of a tail. And then we'll sew this hole shut. So with your needle, we're gonna sew it shut the same way as we did with the head. So this time it's just a single crochet, so I'm actually only going through the first front loop, not 2 loops. Okay, so from the top down, from the down up, up down, bottom up, weaving it back and forth, all the way around. Okay, close shut. And then we're gonna go ahead and continue in the same direction, making sure it's nice and secure. Oops. Okay, and once I've gone down around like 1.5 times, I'm just gonna drop the yarn tail inside the body, and I'm gonna use that to tie against the other foot in a minute. So for now, I'm just gonna tuck this inside the body so it's not in our way for filming. And let's start on the next foot. So for the second foot, you need a bit of a yarn tail to start, and we're gonna leave that aside for sewing this gap shut in between the legs. So for now, give yourself, I have like 18 inches of yarn there. And then on the front of the body, the other marked stitch, we're gonna insert and attach our yarn there. And we're going to just chain 1 to secure. Now we are going to start off with the 5 single crochet increases like we did with the other foot. Okay, coming back to our first marked stitch here, we're going to do single crochet 1, and then increase, and then single crochet 1, and increase, and then single crochet 6. Okay, round number 3. We're going to single crochet 2. And then decrease. And repeat that around. And then we are going to finish off with round number 4. So single crochet 1 and decrease all the way around. Fasten off, give yourself a bit of a tail. And we will sew that one shut, just like we did with the first one. Okay, now I like to tie off my legs against each other. So what I'm going to do is just grabbing the yarn tails from the legs here. I'm going to knot them together, making sure that there's enough looseness basically in here that is just going to kind of float around inside the body. And we will knot them together. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead, cut one of these strands off, and I'm going to use the other strand for tying against this one. So I'm going to just pop this up somewhere in the back. If I can find a spot and get the yarn through. There we go. And just leave that there for now. Now grabbing my needle again and this extra long yarn tail that we had when we added our yarn back. And with the body facing towards me, I'm going to go ahead and just stitch these 4 stitches together. I'm going to go through each of these stitches twice and 3 times on the edges, just to make sure that it is super secure. If you guys can hear that sound in the background, that's my husband trying to be really stealthy, wandering into the kitchen, grabbing a snack, and he's trying not to laugh. Probably thought he was a lot more stealthy than he was. Okay, so we're sewn together there. He's gonna have a really good chuckle when he's editing this video. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of just weave it up here to join off with this yarn tail. So however you want to secure yours, you can just weave back and forth. I'm gonna kind of do a mixture of both. So I'm weaving back and forth and also tying it against the other one. I like to add the extra tying just because I find that half double crochet stitches are not tight. So I feel like it's not as secured as what it would normally be as if you were weaving back and forth with single crochet stitches. Okay. I'm gonna come up through the same hole here and tie these together. And I am just gonna do that extra knot and sink it in to the body. Okay, and we'll just push that inside. Perfect. There we go. That looked weird for a second. Okay, awesome. So now we finished our body and our really cute little head. And now let's go ahead and do the arms. Okay, so now we'll start the arms. You can also hear my dog drinking water beside me. Lots of noises in the background tonight. Okay, so start with a magic circle for our arms. We're going to half double crochet 5 into the ring. And pull that tight. Round number 2, we're going to half double crochet around. Okay, I'm just going to secure my magic ring. The same way that we do with everything else, looping it around. Okay, and then we can flip our work the right way out. Okay. Another half double crochet around. And one more half double crochet around. Round 5, we're going to half double crochet 3 and then half double crochet, decrease. Okay, that's the arm. Go ahead, fasten off with a bit of a tail if you're sewing onto the body. And go ahead and make another arm because we're gonna need 2. Once you have both arms, let's go ahead and just sew them onto the body now. So I like to, I'll show you how I prep my arms for sewing onto the body. Oh, if I can get it on there. So we have 4 stitches here at the very end. I'm just gonna fold it in half and just kind of sew 1 stitch and then 2 stitches. And that will keep the arm nice and flat while I'm sewing it to the body, just like that, okay? So bringing our body down here, it already likes to lie nice and flat. So we are going to be adding it to the 2 side stitches that show up mostly on the side there in round 2. So round 1 is the one where we stitched right into the head. Round 2 is our first round of half double crochet. So super obviously where you need to sew them into. So I'm just gonna pick my first stitch here. So I'm gonna go through each stitch twice. Make sure it's nice and secure. Okay, and then the one behind it as well. That's our first and our second. Perfect. That's super easy. That's our first arm. Now I'm going to tie our arm tails together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to anchor this yarn tail just against one of these stitches that's nearby, and then pull it up somewhere in the middle where I'm going to tie the arms against each other. So I've wrapped it around here, and I basically created an anchor when I looped around that stitch. Okay, so like if this knot goes a little bit loose, it's just gonna loosen up the anchor and not the entire arm. Okay, so there's our first arm. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Okay, and then coming up into the same stitch, tie these off together. When I'm tying these off together, I don't want it to be super tight. I don't want to be cinching the arms together. I just want the knot to be kind of floating between them. So see, there's a little bit of slack there. That's what I want. I think like arms are always under a lot of tension, especially with children's toys, and you don't want a kid to be pulling these apart and then snapping the yarn tail in the middle. Okay. I'll just sink that in. There we go. Hey, we have our arms now. So cute. Okay. Excuse me. Now we are going to work our ears. We're going to start with the inner ear first. So grab whatever color you'd like to use for that. Got this nice like shadow purple kind of color that I think looks really nice. So we're going to start off with a chain. So give yourself a bit of a tail and a slip knot. We are going to chain 10. Okay. And then we are going to start with a single crochet into the second stitch from the hook. So this is the first and this is the second. So I'm going to come right in here. A lot of people work into chains differently. There's different ways you can do it. I like to work under 2 bars, so there's only 1 bar under my hook. And then I'll show you how I cross over on the other side. Where's my other example here? So that it creates kind of like this like nice thick with no gap type chain. Otherwise you're working on either sides of the chain and there can be kind of like a loopy gap in the center of it. So I'll show you how I do mine, and then if you have a different technique that you like better, feel free to use your technique as well. It won't change the actual pattern, it's just, you know, the end result. Okay, so we start with this single crochet 1. Now we're going to single crochet 7. So that should leave you with 1 chain at the end. In that last chain, we're going to single crochet 3. My husband was in stealth mode again, wandering into the kitchen. Okay, there's single crochet 3. Okay, now we're going to be working on the other side of the chain. So you can see here that this little loop there would be basically the other side of the stitch that was left over. Okay, so you could work into this side, but you kind of have these little gaps in the center, which I don't personally love. So I'll show you how I cross over. So on the other side of the chain, we're going to work single crochet 7. So instead of working into this like little single loop here, I like to go all the way across and insert under, basically where you'd have the 2, what's the word I'm looking for, bars or whatever on this side, but I'm basically working over the entire stitch. Okay, so same thing, I'm inserting under the stitch just from the other side. Under the stitch from the other side. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now in this case, because there's no fluff in the ears, it's not really that big of a deal. You can work it however you want to, but I like working it that way because it creates like a really nice, solid, stitched piece. So you're not going to see any other colors from behind the ear bleeding through. And if this was an amigurumi where you had, maybe you're working like a nose piece and it was going to be stuffed inside, you wouldn't have like stuffing coming out. So a nice way to keep everything nice and tight. Then we're going to finish off with an increase into that last chain. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead. Actually, before we go ahead and fasten off, in that last increase where we just worked, the last 2 stitches, we're going to add our stitch marker. So not the last stitch, but the second last stitch. Just like that, okay? Fasten off with just a little bit of a tail. And we are going to do an invisible join here. So if you wanted to, you can slip stitch into the first stitch that we worked and fasten off from there. I'm going to do an invisible join just because it's invisible. And I'll show you guys how to do it. So it's not obvious where your round ends or begins. So pull your yarn all the way through and grab your needle. And so we can see this is our last stitch of the round, right? This was our first stitch, and then this is the one beside it. So you're going to skip over the first stitch, go to the next one under the whole stitch, and then come back. And into our last stitch where we fastened off from, go into the back loop only, not the front. And if you want to pick up this other floating back loop back here as well, I do, because then it kind of puts it down a little bit. And what we've done is we've created the front loop and the back loop of a fake stitch on top of our first stitch, and then it creates a really nice continuous finish. So with the rest of this, all I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of weave it, not even super carefully because all of this will be hidden inside the ear. I'm just going to bring this up to the other yarn tail and just knot them together. Be careful that you're not pulling everything too snug and pulling it out of shape. And then that's that. So that is our first inner ear piece. Go ahead and make one more. Okay, so once you've gone ahead and made 2 of the inner inserts, you can actually go ahead and get rid of that color yarn. We don't need it anymore. And now we're going to start with the outer part of the ear back in blue again. So we're going to start the same way as we did with the inner ear. So we are going to start with a slip knot and a chain 10. Okay, starting in the second chain from the hook, we've got our single crochet 1, and then single crochet 7 down. Okay, 3 single crochet into the last chain. Okay, and then just like the last one, you can either single crochet into the loop on this side, or you can do my little trick there and you can crochet all the way across to the other side of the chain. We're going to single crochet 7. And then single crochet 2 into the last chain. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to grab one of the inserts and we are going to stitch them together. So we are going to be stitching in the next stitch of the blue and then also into the marked stitch of the purple. Did I get into it correctly? Yeah. Okay. You want to make sure that when you line them up, the wrong sides will be facing each other, okay, and the right sides will be facing out. I don't think it's possible to do it any other way when you got the stitch marker there, but I just had to clarify that. So we are going to go ahead. I am going to just secure this tail a little bit. Honestly, I'm just going to weave it in nice and gentle because it's just going to be kind of floating around inside. There we go. And we are going to single crochet 1, and then increase. I'm also keeping these stitches pretty loose. I don't want this to be cinched at all. I want it to be nice and flowy because they're ears and you want them to be kind of soft. So my stitches are a little bit looser here, okay? So let's go to the next one, single crochet 1. Then we're gonna do half double crochet and another half double crochet and a double crochet. Double crochet increase, so 2 double crochet into the same stitch. Double crochet 1. And then a half double crochet. And then now we're working into the 1 stitch right at the very tip there. So now we've got single crochet 1, and then a chain, and then another single crochet all into the same stitch. Then we have a half double crochet, and a double crochet, and a double crochet increase, and then another double crochet, we have 2 half double crochet, there's 1, and then 1 more, single crochet 2, and then for the last 2 stitches we're going to do increases, just single crochet increases. Okay, and then we are going to slip stitch and fasten off. Give yourself a bit of a tail. We're going to be using that to sew into the head. And then we are just, if you need to use stitch markers to mark it, we are going to be sewing through where we've just finished off and fastened off from. 1, 2, and 3. So those last 3 stitches that we just did, that's where we're going to be attaching onto the head, and then this is what the other side looks like. Okay, so go ahead, do the last part of the second ear as well, and then we'll meet back here to sew these onto the head. Alrighty, so with all of the ears, with the 2 ears done, we're gonna go ahead and attach them to the head. So with our needle, we are going to be putting them on between rounds 14 and 15 of the head on either side. So remember that our eyes went in between 9, 10, 11, and 12. Remember 9 is where we changed to the blue. So 9, 10, 11, and 12. So 13, 14, 15. So we are going to be attaching our ears somewhere along this line, which means we look like this. Now that is what, I'm going to show you what the other one looks like. That is what this will look like. So if you're happy with how this looks, then sew them on where I'm putting them. If you wanted to change the way the ears look, this is your chance to change it now. Okay? So basically I want to find 3 stitches that are going to line up nicely. I want the ear to come in just behind the eyes. So I think I'm gonna go 1, 2, and 3. I think that's how I want that to look. Yep. I'm just gonna pull these out now because I don't really need them once I get the first in place. So basically 1 stitch to 1 stitch on the head. Okay, and I'm gonna go through each of them twice. So that is what I have there. I'm happy with that. And then just as I have done all the way through, I'm gonna go ahead and sink this so that I can tie it against the other ear. Create our anchor point, and we'll meet somewhere in the middle. There we go. Okay. Let's grab our other ear and do the exact same thing. Okay, and just before I tie them together, one last check. Happy with that, looks good. And we will tie them together now. First with our anchor, and then together. We sunk them into the head, and then we'll go ahead and cut our tails. Oh, we're so close to being done. How exciting. Here we go, and we should have really nice, super cute floppy ears now. Yay! Let's grab our black yarn, and we're going to do the hair next. Okay, so with the black blanket yarn, so not the worsted one, but the blanket, we are going to be attaching it to the center of the forehead. We're going to be going between rounds 13 and 14. So remember 11 and 12, so this is 12 between the eyes, 13 and 14. So right in here, you're going to want to attach it so that it is centered to the eyes. So whether or not that's between 1 stitch or 2, it really depends on how you've placed your safety eyes. For me, it's 2. Okay, so let's add our yarn, give it a little bit of a tail. And if you're going between 2 stitches like I am, just be a little bit looser with your chain so you're not cinching the stitches together and then pulling gaps, essentially. Okay, so that counts as 1 chain. We are going to chain 5. And then right into the 1 or 2 stitches that you're already in, come back down again, slip stitch. Keep it kind of loose if it's through 2 stitches, and another chain 5. Okay, and then into the same stitch one more time for another slip stitch. So we've chained 5, slip stitch, 5, slip stitch. Do that again into the next between the next rounds. Okay, so chain 5, and we are going to slip stitch wherever it makes sense to keep it centered. Okay, and then another 5 and slip stitch. Okay, now working between the next stitches again, chain 5. Okay, find another spot between here to keep it centered. And you are going to continue working just like that all the way down to the base of the neck. Okay, and once you've reached the base of the neck, you can't go any further. Go ahead, cut your yarn with a bit of a tail. Yarn over and pull through to fasten off. Okay, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and bring these 2 yarn tails together in the head to tie off against one another. Tell if that's in the same stitch. I think so. Yes. Okay. So we'll sink the yarn tails into the head and cut off the excess. There we go. So that is how our funky hairdo looks in the front and down the side, all the way to the base of the neck. Now, our Eeyore is basically done, except we don't have a tail yet. So let's go ahead and we'll do the last piece. Okay, so looking at the his back, we are going to be attaching our blue yarn again. The last time we're using the blue yarn, all the way to, I guess his bum. So let's find round number 8. So remember, number 1 is kind of hidden. It's like the single crochet at the base. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then just find a stitch that is centered. Okay, that's where we're going to be adding our yarn. Give yourself a tail as always. And we are going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Starting in the second chain from the hook, we're going to single crochet back. We're going to single crochet 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we are just going to slip stitch back into the same stitch and pass it off. So that is it. So our tail is in place. 50% of our tail anyways. And now I'm just gonna knot these inside the body. Where's my needle here? Okay. Okay. I'll sink that back into the body. Good, there's our tail. Now we need to grab our worsted black yarn again, and that is what we're going to be using to create this cute little tail, and then we'll add a little bow at the very end. So grab your worsted black. And we are going to be cutting about 10-inch, roughly, pieces, and we want 8 of them. Just eyeballing it. Oh, my yarn is so tangled. I only need one more. One more piece. There we go. Oh, it's because it's actually knotted. We're just gonna get rid of you. It's close enough. Okay, good. So with our 8 pieces, we're gonna be attaching these to the tail. I'm gonna do it in bits and pieces. Where's my yarn here? So I'm just gonna go 2 at a time and just picking spots right at the base of the tail. I'm just gonna attach them like that. So you can see I'm not going through the same spot. Kind of doing this just to make sure that the tail's not lopsided when I knot it all together. It is actually going through the entire tail. Okay. whatever pieces are a little short, we'll just even those out a little bit. But I think for the most part, these look good. Okay, good. Now I'm gonna go ahead and tie it into a knot. So this is why you needed the 10 inches so that you can actually tie the knot here. Okay, and tie it as close as you can to the actual tail up here. Okay, and then I'm gonna pull on individual strands to actually tighten the knot. Nice. Okay, so we are nice and tight. That's not going anywhere. I am just going to trim however long you want it to be. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. I think that looks fine. Okay, cute little tail. And then the last thing that we need is our bow. So let's grab our worsted pink. And we need our 4mm hook. And let's get started. Just gotta find the end of my yarn here. Okay, so this will be nice and quick. Again, give yourself a tail. Start with a slip knot. And we are going to chain 5. Working into the very first chain that we made, you're going to work a treble crochet. So yarn over twice, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so that's 1 treble crochet. We want to work 4 treble crochets. Oops. There we go. And then chain 4 and slip stitch back again. Now do the same thing on the other side. So chain 4, 4 treble crochet, still all into the same stitch. It's easier to work this second side than it is the first side. Okay, and then chain 4 and slip stitch back into the center again, and then we can fasten off. So that's our little bow there. Fasten off with a tail. And that is our bow. So let's bring that right over here. So I have 2 tails here. I'm gonna basically use one to sew into a bit of the blue on the tail, and then I'm gonna use the other one to kind of get into the black if I can. And I'm just gonna have it kind of sitting up here. And then I tie them together. So let me just grab a smaller needle for this. So I'm just gonna basically come through just like 1 bar of a stitch there. I don't really want the pink to be showing through on the bottom. So just keep this part on like the surface level. Oh, sorry. Let me bring this down here a little bit. There we go. Okay, where was I? Just into one bar. Okay, and then back through some of these back stitches on the bow, back to the other side. Okay, again, making sure I don't think I've peeked the other side. Nope. Okay, I'm happy with that. On the top part of the bow. Now for the other part of the bow, we're going to do the exact same thing. So for the bottom, I'm going to kind of tack it into here, into this black. And then under a couple of these back stitches on the pink. Back through the black. Okay, nice and snug. And then back through the pink. Now, since there isn't really anywhere for this pink to tie knots and sink into, I am going to actually just, I am going to tie the two pink together. Just because these were for securing. So I don't want them to come undone. There we go. Bring my two tails together, tie them off. And then since it's worsted weight yarn and it's really easy to just kind of sink it into itself, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Is I'm just going to kind of run it around the center as well as I can. I mean, the stitches are pretty hard to see back here. But again, I'm also not worried about falling apart because I've already knotted it. So this is just to hide the tails. Okay, it's good enough for one. And that's it. We have our tail there and a little bow. So here we are with one last look at what we just made together. Oh, he turned out so cute. Get the tail in there as well. I hope that you guys enjoyed making your Eeyore just as much as I did. I make new videos every Thursday. Usually they're tutorial videos just like this one. And if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe and I'll catch you at the next one. Bye-bye.